Hi, I'm Billy, one of the Fuji guys, here to give you an unboxing of the brand new Fujifilm X20 camera. I have here with me, of course, the black version, but this camera also comes in the two-tone silver and black. Let's take a look at the contents of the camera. Of course, you got the warranty information, owner's manual, as well as the software CD. I guess depending on the country you're buying this from, it may come with different owner's manual. For all the languages, of course, you can also go into the software CD itself, and the owner's manual is covered in various languages as a PDF file format. Okay, I'm just going to put that aside. Let's take a look at the box itself. As you can see, camera is sealed. Rip that protective cover open, and of course you got the brand new X20 camera. The X20 obviously replaces the new the X10, and there's several improvements, including a new processor, the EXR processor 2, as well as a new sensor. It's a 2/3 inch X-Trans 2 sensor that has a built-in phase detection pixel. It operates on both phase and contrast detection now. There's some added changes, of course. The OVF has a digital trans panel as well that actually outputs some LEDs to show up things like the autofocus points, shooting information, ISO, shutter speeds, aperture, things like that kind of appear. This is actually a first for this style of camera that actually offers an OVF, and we already know how good the OVF is in terms of the quality, the glass prisms and dark prisms that are being used on this. It makes it very, very nice and bright. Of course, the camera comes with the cap. It's actually just a pressure cap, as you can see. It's loose enough to pull out, but it's also tight enough that it's not going to come off on you. For some of you who really take care of your stuff, you probably want to purchase one of those attachments where you can actually attach something right to the front, and then it allows for a hook to attach to one of the sides so that you actually don't lose the cap. It was designed this way, though, of course, because for the styling and look of the camera is very retro. In addition to that, sometimes you don't want the lid just to be dangling around as you take a photo. So you'll generally throw that into your coat pocket or something like that. Okay, I'm just going to put that aside for now. Let's take a look at the other contents. You got the lithium battery. It's a MP50 battery. And the MP50 battery basically is the same battery found in the X10 as well. And a lot of the Fuji cameras use the MP50 battery. So if you already have a Fuji camera, most likely it might be using this battery. You can reuse it again. Of course, to charge that, you also have the wall charger. In last year's model, actually was a dual charger that charged both an NP45 and 50. This one's exclusive for the NP50 only. And again, you charge it in. It takes probably about 3.5 to 4 hours for a full charge. And I guess there's also an adapter, a plug adapter, and that can be found in here, as you can see. And depending on the country that you purchase the camera in, it's going to come with the appropriate adapter that you can basically slide into place, and allows you to plug it to the wall. This is obviously the North American adapter, but again, depending on your country, you may have a different type of plug. Okay, what else do you get? You got the straps here. This is actually the clips for the straps itself. And we take a look at the other contents. You got the USB cables. And then lastly, you have the straps itself. So it's actually a shoulder strap that you use the earlier clips I took out on. And there's actually this plastic tool here, as you can see, that helps you take the metal clips that are included here, these triangle clips, and it actually just slides in like this. And it allows you to open that part up, and so that makes it easier for you to attach the piece onto it. And of course, you then use that to use the plastic cover here so that you prevent scratches, and then attach the strap. So I'm not going to really show you how to do that. That's something that you definitely learn on your own. It's pretty simple anyways. We'll put that aside. You got the USB cable. Again, the USB cable allows you to download images off the camera. Of course, most of you guys already have a computer that has a built-in card reader, and I recommend you use that instead. It prevents damage to the USB port on the side of this camera, where you can find here. There's also a mini HDMI connector as well. Okay. In addition to that, this year with the X20, that USB port can also double as a microphone input as well. So we do have optional mic that you can purchase for this camera, and it comes with a couple adapters. Because the mic itself is a 2.5 millimeter connector, it will have a 2.5 Sorry, it would have a 2.5 to USB style here connector, and for the other cameras, it would have the appropriate connectors for that included. Okay, and again, that's just a quick look at it. Let's take a look at the camera itself. See if we can actually power it on. So just flipping it out, you want to insert the batteries with the contact facing inwards and the orange stripe matching the orange tab right there, as you can see. We'll slide it in place. The camera doesn't include any memory cards, so I highly recommend you pick up just a good set of SD card. It takes up to SDXC cards, even the ultra high speed cards. For this particular camera, if you definitely plan to shoot in RAW with JPEGs or shoot continuous or even full HD video, because it offers 60 frames a second 1080p video, I recommend at least a minimum of a class 6 rated card or higher, and buy a card that's reputable, so not a no-name brand card. Okay, so once you have it on, there's a couple ways to turn on the camera, of course. You can turn the lens on, and as you rotate the lens and it hits a 28 point, the camera actually switches on. If it's your very first time you're turning it on, you want to go through the menu system. You can use the command dial here to actually go through the numerous language options. There's too many to actually really even count or to even read that I can understand. And you can push the menu OK to confirm. I'm going to select English here. And this is sort of the power management option. Most of these options can be reset in the setup later on if you wanted to, so it doesn't matter how you choose it. I like to go with high performance because it maximizes the AF speed and it gives the LCD screen the brightness option and the fastest refresh rate possible. So the camera's ready to go. It's on the SR Plus auto mode. That's very unique to the Fuji cameras. It detects scenes, lighting situations, and optimizes that for simple point-and-shoot operations, of course. You also have things like shutter, aperture, and full manual controls on this camera as well. For this demo, I'm just going to show you the SR Plus, I guess. To take photos with the camera, it has a standard shutter release here. Pushing halfway allows you to focus, and all the way it takes a picture. If you do have a macro, I guess, it should automatically switch to the macro mode. And again, with face detection, it's quite fast for focusing, as you can see. You can zoom in there. And then the sound that you hear, the clicking sound, that's just, there is a shutter, but there's also an artificial shutter sound. You can disable that if you wanted to as well. I just took some photos there. To do video on this camera, you can change it to the mode dial on top here. It does basically full HD video at 60 frames a second, which is great for doing action video because it's very smooth. It also says push OK for still images, so I can actually take photos by actually snapping the menu OK button to take some uninterrupted photos there. I can stop the recording like that. So it's quite simple to play back images on this camera. You just push the playback button, and from there you can see some images that I shot with a still. I guess it wasn't in focus. Anything that's in video, you'll see these little film strips on the side. You push down a directional pad to play it. There's a built-in speaker as well with both stereo mics. And of course, if you want better quality, you can buy that optional microphone. You also have the images here. To zoom in on the images, of course, you got these little zoom in buttons here. You can zoom in close, as you can see, and zoom out. You can pan, use the directional pad, push back to get out. If you want to delete an image, you can push up, and you have the options to delete that current image. You can select a bunch of images, or you can wipe out all the images. If you want to select images, here's some shots we've done. I can just push OK, move the directional pad to where I want to delete the image. So I got 3 selected. I push back now. It tells me I have 3. I push OK, up OK, and it's now deleted. If I want to delete everything, of course, I can also go into the menu, select the erase options, and go and delete all frames. Again, for zooming on this camera, it's just basically a manual zoom, which is great. You can zoom in, zoom out. And now with the optical viewfinder on this camera with the eye sensor, it's going to make it easier to do video. So the eye sensor obviously is not going to work for the video side of things. So I'm going to see if I can actually show you this or not. Quite hard to do that, but then if I push the shutter button, as you can see, that square showed up on that object right there, right over here. So that's kind of interesting to see. But there's also aperture shutter control dials that you can definitely see as well, right down at the bottom there. And depending on the lighting situation, those LED will change color from green to red to just the black itself. As you can see, green, and the AF point shows up. So not the best view here, it's hard to show that, but again, definitely a huge improvement for the OVF. And again, this is just an unboxing of the camera. For more information on this camera, don't forget to subscribe to my video. Follow me on Twitter so I can answer your questions. And of course, look out for some new videos, including the top features on the X20. Until then, I'm Billy, one of the Fuji guys.